Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. You're watching Rebel Roundup, Rebel News' daily news and opinion show. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn, but you can tell by the different intro sound and the graphics behind us that it is Wednesday, which means it's Western Wednesdays, and that means the Buffalo panel. And I'm joined today by my real life best friend. What a delight to be able to work with your best friend from Regina, Saskatchewan, Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Oh, Sheila Gunn, it's always a great day to see you on the TV and to do this kind of work. And today's guest is like one of our favorites. We just know we're
Yep.
going to have a great conversation coming up about
Yes.
Western issues.
Yes. Before we get into that, I'll tell everybody what we're doing, and then we'll bring in my long-suffering colleague over at Alberta Fact Check on the panel. So if you're watching us on Rumble, excellent free speech platform, if you want to support the work that we do over here at Rebel News out of the goodness of your heart, not forced compulsion by the government, you can leave a Rumble rant if it's over the $5 US cutoff. We are hereby reading it on air. If it's under that, we'll do our very best, time permitting. Same rules apply over on the censorship platform of YouTube. But if you miss the live version of the show, but you love yourself the Buffalo panel, you can leave a paid comment called super thanks. So we're starting a little bit late, so let's get right into it. Let's bring in our panelist, Western Standard columnist, also columnist over at the Epoch Times, a gentleman with a third-party advertiser in his own right during the Alberta referendum campaign, and my early morning Alberta Fact Check buddy, Cory Morgan. Cory, how's it going?
Oh, good, good. Yeah, glad y'all laid it out. I despise having free time, it appears,
Yeah,
but
me too.
it's very satisfying though, and there's lots to cover, that's for sure.
Yeah. Before we went on air, I was like, Lise and I were talking about a little project that maybe we should take on. And I thought, who has time for this? Not me. But what's the difference between getting up at 3 in the morning and 5 in the morning? I mean, really,
Right.
no
Right.
sleep is no sleep.
It's just a time zone, girlfriend. It's just a time zone. I'm like, I just operate in different time zones. That's it.
Yeah. Let's get right into the news of the day. This is something that Cory, well, we'll get into the first thing. And it's something that Cory and I have covered over at albertafactcheck.com, wherein we round up the lies and the half-truths and the misinformation from the night before on the referendum campaign. And then we do our best to debunk it in digestible news articles. Apparently, and we talked about this yesterday, as Albertans, too stupid to get mad about the inequities of Confederation on our own. And so apparently we need Alexei in Leningrad to do it for us. And so Albertans have been targeted by pro-separatism influence campaigns with possible links to Russia, and they're being amplified. And she said this speaking to Focus Punjabi on Omni TV. And I think we have a clip of that. So let's show it. Oh, Olivia needs a second to bring it up. But I knew this would be sort of the track of where this was going, because that's like the new "you're a Nazi." Well, that doesn't work anymore. I work for a Jewish-owned company, and I've been to Israel 3 times, and I'm a bit of a Israelophile. So that's the next thing, right? It's like, Russia's convinced you to be a 3rd-generation separatist. They managed to go back in time and convince my grandfather that separatism was the way to go. This is the clip from Omni TV.
Premier, how concerned are you about Russia and US linked groups influencing Alberta's separatist debate?
Well, I can tell you that I've got my security briefing from CSIS, and we get regular briefings from the RCMP. And so what we're seeing right now is that there's nothing out there that has elevated to a level of criminal involvement in our process, but we are seeing influence campaigns. There is a group called CIFR that is it's an electronic monitoring entity that is seeing that there is various shares of information online that appear to be amplified by different bot farms that may have a link to to Russia, which is something that does leave us concerned. So what we do say is people just need to, before they believe everything that they read on social media, they need to check the source and to verify and to make sure that they're not sharing things and inadvertently amplifying a message that is being used to try to interfere in our contest. I trust that Albertans are able to do that research. I trust that they can identify sources that are credible and sources that are not, but we have to make sure that that information is available so that people are not inadvertently sharing things that they wish they didn't.
Oh, looks like Nikolai in Vladivostok strikes again. I have yet to see any of these Russian influence campaigns, and part of what I do is pay attention to the social media regarding the referendum. Pretty sure Rise of Alberta and Keith Wilson's Let Alberta Decide campaign is not being influenced by Russia. And I think those are the two largest influencers in this campaign. If it's just some guy sitting behind a computer sharing Facebook memes who incidentally happens to be in Russia, I'm not concerned about the impact that he's having on this campaign. Go ahead, Cory.
Yeah, they're desperate to bring up the narrative of foreign interference. They know that if they can bring fear into people, I mean, that's how the Liberals won last year, too. They brought up the big bad boogeyman south of the border. Let's all rally the troops. It doesn't matter how bad policy is. It doesn't matter how terrible things are, as long as we stop that nasty foreign influence from coming in and harming us there. They think they can get traction from it, and they haven't been able to find evidence. So there was, as I wrote in that fact check part this morning, and we covered that before, CBC did that big long piece about all these foreign influencers, and the best they could find was a noodle vendor in Indonesia who made $14 on Facebook. This is not a big campaign. If they could find a smoking gun, they'd be all over it. So all they could do is maybe, possibly, could, we're watching for, be careful of, and there's just a great big nothing burger. The same foreign influencers are also, as I said in my fact check today, they're pushing porn sites and Temu as well. They're agnostic about what they push. They're just looking for traffic.
Yeah. I'm frankly more concerned when I think about foreign influence, especially in Alberta politics. Khalistani separatists organizing their own referendum on Canadian soil. Like, that seems to be something we might have wanted to have remarked about, considering the terrorist ties to Khalistani separatism. But that sort of just went by the wayside. Nobody really paid any attention to it. All of a sudden now we're worried about Indonesian noodle vendors convincing your grandma that separatism is the way to go. It's so insulting to the intelligence of the people who are part of the independence movement that they can't figure this stuff out on their own.
Yeah. And I would just like to go back to what she said. She stressed that people should check their sources and verify information, and then quotes the RCMP and CSIS as her source. Now, I dare you to give me two more discredited institutions in the country than these two, who have been almost completely DEI driven for at least the past 6, 7, 8 years. And that's who Danielle Smith is trusting for this information. And so I don't know if I purely trust what the RCMP and CSIS is telling her.
Well, that's the thing. These are the two alphabet agencies that we're supposed to trust. There really aren't any others, but they seem to be not all that shit hot on catching terrorists and terrorist plots. We repeatedly get tipped off about these from
other countries,
governments. So I'm not sure if their thumb is on the pulse of this movement.
Because they dedicated their entire workforce to DEI hiring. They hired people with disabilities for 6 years. This is who's deciding that the Russian propagandists are getting in. I mean, do we believe them? And sorry, Cory, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just saying, Premier Smith referenced both of those agencies, but actually, if you look at any official communications that have come out of them, both have said there isn't any foreign interference. They've said we're watching for it. That's all they've said. They gave Nenshi a form letter saying, yes, we understand it's a concern, but we don't see any. So, just mentioning those two names and not going further made it sound as if they're investigating something. No, they've actually repeatedly said there's nothing to see here. We're keeping an eye open because that's our job.
Right. Yes, that is true. I'm glad you brought up the Nenshi form letter where Nenshi highlighted, but I believe, purposefully redacted the most relevant portion of it, is that, yeah, we keep an eye on these things. We're not seeing it, but we will continue to look. And so,
yeah, but what we're hearing from Danielle Smith is now they're telling her, oh, well, there's this group that's tying together some alleged pieces from, so are they investigating it now? Because Nenshi sort of insinuated they should.
That
Is
was
that-
Cypher, which
Cypher.
is an app that was created by a college or a university think tank that scrapes
Yeah.
the net and then combines and comes up with what they feel might be foreign bots working on things. Smith didn't even pronounce the name of the app properly, much less, again, it has nothing to do with CSIS or the RCMP. I imagine if this Cypher group found anything of substance, they would forward it to those authorities. But yeah, that's all this is really coming from.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for breaking that down for us, Cory.
That's why we have Cory on the show. There's this other story here. Elections Alberta is openly soliciting help from other jurisdictions to carry out the fall referendum. They say that they have invited senior staff and experienced electoral staff from all across the country to carry out October's referendum. I sure hope we don't get the people who lost the ballot boxes in BC and then the people from Quebec, where in the election was decided by one vote and ended up in court. Yeah. So senior experienced EMB staff with highly specialized expertise are invited to support the core Elections Alberta team to add expert resources during this critical election event. Similar invitations and programs happen across the country for major electoral events. As one example, to complete the 48-hour continuous count after a 12-day voting, we will need additional highly specialized and expert resources from EMBs to support our permanent Elections Alberta team as they will be working in shifts. Okay, this is why election scrutineers are so important. This is why you need scrutineers, is you're bringing people from other jurisdictions. We've heard confirmed problems with other jurisdictions. Nobody seems to be taking it all that seriously, except the parties involved who end up taking their election results to court. But I've never heard about anybody being fired from elections agencies for these things happening. And this is government. People tend to fail upward or at least laterally. This is why we need election scrutineers in this campaign. And I think the deadline is quickly approaching for those scrutineers to apply. I was cruising through the Elections Alberta website this morning, and it looks like the political parties can appoint their own scrutineers, but it sounds like, and I'm very sure because I put a call out for scrutineers, that the TPAs can submit their own, and maybe they will be selected, maybe they won't. But this is why it's important. You need to make sure that the public is watching these sorts of things. Cory, I'll go to you.
Yeah, well, that's scrutineering, and for people who aren't familiar with it, yeah, it means members of the public, one way or another, are there to observe every aspect of it, from the ballot box opening potentially all the way till the counting of the ballots. That way, it's actually the best possible way to try and avoid electoral meddling. But Elections Alberta has made an unholy mess of it, and hasn't communicated to the third-party advertisers how we can do it effectively. As you said, they've said, well, we can submit lists and put them in. I finally got a communication back from them the other day where they went on at length about, well, we give all the spots to the parties. The only parties that can participate are the UCP and NDP. All the rest of the parties don't have seats. And then if there's any spots that the parties don't fill, they may consider using some of the submitted names from the TPAs to fill those voids. They will let us know at some time between now and October 29th. That's what I got from. So you can give them a whole big list and just hope that at the chief electoral officer's discretion, he may choose who to allow to come in and observe the process. It's ugly, to be honest.
Yeah, and we've seen what Elections Alberta's discretion with the law has given us. It's given us the Forever Canadian campaign, who appear to be full-on campaigning in the referendum campaign, collecting donations, declaring none of their spending while engaging in the same campaign activities that the rest of us are engaging in. This should be the other way around. The TPAs, the third-party advertisers, we are the vested interests in this referendum campaign.
Agreed. And this doesn't add to the legitimacy of the vote. Like at the heart of it, Alberta's saying, we can do things for ourselves. Thanks so much. And then we have elections, Alberta saying, actually, no, we need to call in experts. Like the reliance of the word expert, of expertise in there. Like, when was the last time an expert came in and, well, screwed everything up, guys? Anybody have a recollection of that maybe happening? Of course, the people of Alberta should be put first here. And what they're doing is shoveling people with maybe maybe not the best coming in bad faith to do the job that Alberta's people could do for themselves. It's kind of embarrassing. Like, it's actually arguably embarrassing that they're like, we don't have what it takes here to manage this. We gotta bring in experts to help us.
And going back to what Cory said about the TPAs being third or fourth on the list of the potential scrutineers, what this means practically is that the only people overseeing the count will be federalists.
Yes. Yeah,
right? The NDP and the UCP are both on the federalist side. None of the independents TPAs, unless they allow us some people off our lists of scrutineers, we won't be able to watch. How is that fair if both sides don't get to watch? I'll go to Cory.
Yeah, well, and I would hope that some of the people signing up to go through the UCP, and it sounds like a whole lot have been going there because they found out that's the path, and a lot of them will be independent supporters. I mean, on that side of it, they can't determine that with the scrutineer coming in, which side they're actually looking for, which they aren't. They just know which party they're with. So there will be eyes on the process who will be watching for funny business that's trying to hinder the independent side of the question. So, I mean, I am happy for that. Just the fact that they'll be there is a bit of a preventative measure, because if somebody was planning on doing something funny, they don't know who's watching them necessarily or what side they're going to be on. But it really is a process that should be as open as humanly possible. That's what gives people confidence. As Lise said, people at the end of this, after the mess the elections Alberta is making, whoever lost is going to claim that the system was broken. It doesn't matter which side lost. They're going to claim it, and they're going to have a lot of basis to make that on. I don't know if it would make a difference that swung the vote or not, but they will have ammunition to claim that the process was flawed, and that just makes more of a mess.
Let's move ahead to Olivia. Can you dig up the clip from Yegwave about the second CBSA crackdown? And while you're doing that, would you mind showing Premier Smith pushing back on Omni TV when they asked if there's enough legislation to deal with the hate online currently?
Premier, are Alberta's current measures strong enough to deal with the rising hate crimes?
I would say that one of the things that we value as a provincial jurisdiction is we value the free exchange of ideas. We always want to make sure that people have the ability to talk and debate issues that matter to them in a respectful way. It's always that really is the baseline, is we want to make sure that our public dialogue stays respectful, but sometimes we have to be willing to have challenging conversations, and we've got to be able to preserve that. The issue of hate crime really is if somebody says something so terrible that it results in violence against another person or violence against a group. And there have been instances in the past where criminal code violations of that kind of extreme hate speech have been taken forward in the court. And I think that it should be a very high bar, but we should also make sure that we're not inadvertently creating an environment that doesn't allow us to have a free exchange of ideas. Because I think when you have a free exchange of ideas, you can identify problems and you can resolve them faster than if you're locking down and preventing people from having those conversations. So it's a balance. I recognize that, but we think that there's enough tools so that nobody is going to be brought to harm because of the hate words of another.
I think the problem here on the left is that they don't understand the difference between hate crimes and just people saying things you don't like. And like they think that it should be illegal if you offend someone.
Well, they consider that actual violence.
Right.
They consider words to be actual violence. And so expanding, I think she did a good job at managing that, in
Yeah.
that expanding hate speech laws does more to stop the critical conversations that have to happen, excuse me, more than the actual danger that they say it poses.
Right.
She's just
And
saying, let's talk it out. Okay, we can talk it out.
right. And the host said hate crimes, which are designated in law. And that a lot of people on the left would love to see the definition of hate crimes expanded to encompass, the things that people don't want us to say, but we know are absolutely true. Cory, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm something of a free speech purist.
Yeah.
As Lise said, I think the premier did respond fairly well in distinguishing between somebody's words that might lead to violence or encouraging violence. There are limitations within reason on speech, and I know it's always going to be a back and forth, but to make it criminal for somebody to say something that's insulting or offensive or whatnot, we know that's a road we just can't go down, and we were already going down, and it's very problematic. Likewise, just with hate crimes in general, I'm not personally big on them. If some nutcase goes and assaults a man on the street because that man was black, well, the crime was the assault. I don't care about his motivation. There is no motivation that's allows a person to assault somebody. I mean, if it was a white person he assaulted because he didn't like with the clothes he was wearing, or the something the other guy
Yeah.
had said, it's the assault that's the crime, not the motivation. And this whole hate crime thing is a bad direction we're going in.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, police's thought and opinions. And Cory's right. You're allowed to hold whatever odious opinion you want. It's the actions you commit motivated by that odious opinion, which appears to be the problem. I want to talk about this story that broke on Yegwave, which is a news aggregator on Instagram and wherever else. It's a follow-up to what happened last week in a startling display of government efficiency. You see, the people with expired work and or student permits were all gathered in the same place in Calgary, and CBSA thought, perfect time. Why don't we pay them a little visit? And so they did. And they raided this Calgary International Student Protest and gave them their notices to appear, whatever that means. These people, they obviously don't appreciate legal paperwork to begin with, because they are ignoring their expired work and or student visa permits. So I'm not sure what their notice to appear for an immigration hearing would mean to them. But it is at least something. I would love to see them just rounded up ICE raid style and taken to the airport, given a teddy bear on their way home, as ICE tends to do. But they repeated this in Edmonton. I think it was last night in Millwood. Similar protest has been going on. CBSA officers conducted a raid at an Indian International Student Protest on 23rd Avenue and Millwoods. And this pleases me. This pleases me. I am happy to see the government going and doing something about this. These sorts of protests are happening all over the country, but it seems to me the only place that they're conducting these, at least checks of paperwork, is Alberta. And I think that really sets us apart. Cory, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad they're doing that. As I said, there's been no action or at all prior. I think it shows in how bold it's allowed people who, let's just face it, if their visas are expired, they're here illegally. Let's not talk around it. They aren't just somebody let their paperwork go. In most countries, if you go and you don't have a valid visa, you are there illegally, and they will crack down on you. And typically in a country, if a person were in such a position, you would think they'd keep their head down. They would try to be discreet with what they're up to. They're not going to be attending a large protest amongst a bunch of other people where they could be expected to be asked for their documentation to show if they're there legally or not. Whether this leads to something bigger, I guess we can hope. It's a start, but it still goes back to that honor system. Oh, okay, well, your papers, your visa's expired. You're not supposed to be here. Please appear at this down the road, and they'll see if they appear or not. This could actually just drive the people who underground further. But I can only applaud CBSA at least showing some teeth and saying, yeah, we're going to actually try and enforce a little bit on this.
Yeah,
Lise,
and
go ahead.
having it being broadcast so publicly, it is I think going to accelerate the way those students disappear into the wider Canadian public. Because now that they know that the CBSA is targeting their little protests or their little rallies, well, I think they'll be a lot less likely to have them. But CBSA out of Saskatchewan has had a couple stories this year, and I'm like, they're doing some good stuff over there. Like really, really, they're taking the initiative to deal with this problem that they're seeing Canadians are upset about, are hearing Canadians say we need something done about this, and good for the CBSA for upholding their mandate and making hay when the sun is shining. You got all these guys in one place, perfect time to do paperwork, to check papers, like just perfect, lovely. More of that, please, boys.
Well, and CBSA, good folks at the CBSA, if you're watching, I can tell you where you need to go next. Portage College. Now, Portage is a trade school. I think they have campuses Cold Lake, Lac La Biche, St. Paul, Goodfish Lake.
Okay.
Like they have some satellite campuses, but it's a trade school.
Okay.
And Punjabi Indian students at Portage College are out there protesting. We've got a video demanding the right to work in a country they aren't even citizens of. And they're building like a tent city out there. So I know it's a little bit off the beaten path if this is the Lac La Biche College campus.
Oh,
I think they
my.
might even have a campus in Edmonton. I'm sorry if I don't know. But anyways, they've set up like a community there, which means that they could go home and set up a community just fine too. So anyways, let's watch. Look at this. What is this protest?
Wow.
Anyway, CBSA, you know what to do, you know where to go. I think this might be the Edmonton campus, could be Lac La Biche. Doesn't look like Lac La Biche. But anyway, this has to stop. You can't come here and then try to do the old switcheroo on us. There are rules to follow. And if you have garnered a trade that you think is relevant to our economy, I guarantee you it will be relevant to the economy back home. Off you go. Goodbye. Cory, go ahead.
Well, I was saying, yeah, as you said, I mean, if the trade is of value here as well, there's a process to apply and get your visa extended or move towards citizenship. But it's not a guarantee just because you went through what these schools like that, which are kind of turning into diploma mills and really are just a jumping board to try and come in here rather than actually getting that further education. Getting back to what I talked about with how bold some of the illegal people are getting here when they're setting up camps like that out in the public. You certainly wouldn't see that down in the States where ICE would swoop in pretty quickly and clean those tents out. I hope CBSA is listening and follows through with your advice on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cory, before we let you go, I want to show you something a little bit closer to home for you than it is for me. Chestermere, illegal dumpers caught after getting stuck in a farmer's field. This is just chef's kiss. They cried racism when the farmers called the RCMP on them.
No.
And according to the farmer, they will be receiving a $10,000 fine. Do we have? Yeah, so this is it. Yeah, they are illegal dumping, and this is getting really bad. Like, I live fairly far off the highway, so I don't get a ton of this, but we have had some of it, including a stolen car like a couple of weeks ago. But the person who posted this said that they were on their parents' farmland near Chestermere. And this is a real problem. And I think, as we were talking about yesterday on the show, and it feels like we could talk about a story like this every single day. This is the confluence of people from low trust societies who don't respect the environment. And what I mean is real environmentalism, like don't throw your garbage on the ground, but also the onerous, like recycling and garbage fees that people face in municipalities. So they're just like, screw it. I'll just dump it somewhere because I don't work for the sanitation department. But this is happening all over constantly, every single day. Cory, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a problem. And for people unfamiliar with Calgary, Northeast Calgary is a high immigration community, and the neighboring fields. I mean, I would imagine it had nothing to do with racism, what the farmer did or with the charges. If I had
No.
backed a pickup truck in there and started dumping stuff out and got caught, I could promise you that landowner will be just as upset with me and following through. But the thing is, I wouldn't do that because I didn't grow up in a low trust society sort of thing. I understand not every person of Indian descent is going to do these things and such, but almost always when we see these videos, that's the individuals that are doing this. Maybe some public education campaigns for those contractors working up there, so they do understand that this is something we won't tolerate up here. There's one of the ironies, I guess. In Canada, we'll tolerate a lot of illegal and expired visas, but the country does pride itself on being, and ththose of us who have traveled overseas, it is one of the cleanest countries on earth.
We are.
And we are not going to put up with people making a mess here. But the immediate call of racism when this farmer enforced on this, no,
That's
sorry,
wild.
doesn't hold water. That landowner doesn't care what the race was. They just don't
Yeah.
want garbage dumped on their land, and that's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, enforcement is not racism. It just is not. Like, completely and anybody that makes claims of it deserves to be fined the absolute maximum and be publicly shamed. Okay, and they will think, I promise, that when they see themselves on that farmer's Facebook page, they will think twice about doing it next time, as will all their friends.
More public shaming, public shaming for this kind of stuff. And, you know, this doesn't even take into the account the property rights issue. Like, your garbage is not my garbage. My land is my land, and it's not for your garbage. Right. Have some respect for us. We take property rights very seriously in this province, and we take the environment like real environmentalism, not like fake tax in the air stuff, but like leaving the place clean and tidy. We take that real seriously around here, and this is one of those things where you can fit in or F off, as far as I'm concerned.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? I know Cory has to get to his real job, and so we should let him go. But before we let you go, Cory, let people know where they can find your work and also support your third-party advertiser, which I think is the #1 sign campaign in the province.
Yeah, you bet. Well, yeah, I know. I don't know how I got myself into that, but Alberta Fact Check.com. By every weekday you're going to see a couple of things on there out of me and yourself, of course. westernstandard.news for my show and my columns that are regularly here, and for the TPA, corymorgan.com. You can find some information on it, and we have tens of thousands of lawn signs out there and a couple months to go, and hopefully we'll get more.
It's intimidating how successful you are at lawn signs. It's like driving
I can find ways to make myself money as effectively as I've been able to with the TPA, but I'll get there, I guess, one day.
It's intimidating when you're like rolling into a town to do a lawn sign drop off, and you're like, oh, I see Cory's been here. It's okay. How competition makes everybody better. Thanks, Cory. We'll have you back on again very soon, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
You bet. Great to see you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Let's hit an ad break. We'll be back on the other side.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms.
Many of our men and women
They've preserved history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. While violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation, lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history. Save heritage. Save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
Right now, Byrna is having their biggest sale ever with 25% off everything on the Byrna Canada site, but only from August 17th through August 24th. In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's byrna.ca/rebel.
Hey folks, do you love a good cup of coffee? Are you, like me, banned for life from visiting Tim Hortons? Well,
no, we're not. No, not everybody is.
Not everybody.
Just you and me.
But I am. Folks, I have great news. Check it out. This is Rebel News Special Edition Coffee. Rebel News and Resistance Coffee have partnered to bring you something special to wake up to. Resistance Coffee is a family-run Canadian coffee company, unlike Tim Hortons, by the way. And while the big chains wrap themselves in the flag and turn their backs on Canadian workers, Resistance Coffee has been doing the real thing all along, available only at rebelcoffee.ca. A 5-pound bag and bundles qualify for a $9.99 flat rate shipping nationwide. It is worth every penny. Folks, this is great coffee, and this is the coffee to brew. Rebel News.
All right, let's pay some bills with a message from our friends at Rumble Wallet. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part most people miss. Crypto was created so you can actually own and control your money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of a bank holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you are in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you've felt that problem. Now, fast forward to today, everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started feels real complicated. That's why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all that complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects to MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank card and be up and running in minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. The understanding crypto, that's up to you. All right, let's get into the crazy thing that happened last night. Just as we were sort of wrapping up our workday, and we knew David Menzies was out on a caper with the gals from Casbar, Canadian women's sex-based. Oh, shoot. What does Casbar stand for?
COSBAR.
COSBAR.
Canadian Women's Sex-Based Rights.
Oh, I was almost there. I just thought I was forgetting a letter. Just as we were wrapping up for the day, the gals from Casbar and David Menzies had the billboard truck out on the street. Casbar rented the truck. We were doing a story on what we knew to be the madness surrounding what was happening in Toronto. So, as you know, let me just go back up here so I know where I'm following along. So, Sophie Cunningham was in town. Now, she plays in the WNBA. I don't pay attention to a lot of women's sports outside of rugby, but I do know that she's been outspoken about the potential for men to play in the WNBA, because the whole point of the WNBA is it's a league for women, because that makes perfect biological sense.
That's
so
what the W stands for.
That's exactly. Exactly. And so she's this pretty little blonde girl. She's not little, actually. And she is like at the center of a hurricane surrounding the gender madness in sport. And she refuses to back down, and she's a heck of a player in her own right. So she comes to town, and Casbar is there to show support for her. And we've got the truck out, and then the police descend on the truck. And since we were with the truck and it was newsworthy, well, wouldn't you know it, Toronto Sun's Joe Warmington was there. Yes. And he's got this video of the truck, the cops surrounding the truck like it's an active shooter event
Yeah.
with their little ticket books. So look at how tame the messaging is too, by the way.
Men are just stronger, bigger. I don't think that's a fair matchup. They think that this is hate, you guys. They think that this perfectly reasonable, non-confrontational truth is hate. And that's what they tried. And for the record, you guys, our truck driver, Mark, is the nicest.
He's so
most
nice.
mild-mannered guy in the country. And this is what happened to him last night. I was showing this to my kids like a reality show unfolding in real time. I was like, kids, come here. Come see what Uncle Ezra's doing. Look at it. He's in the lunchroom of Rebel News.
There's Mark.
Look at our friend Mark getting tickets. My kids watched this live like it was an unfolding situation. Incredible.
Mark, this is not Mark's first rodeo with the Toronto cops being weird about the messaging on the truck. I think back in June they went after him. Look at how many cops attended.
Look how many resources they stuck on our billboard truck that just said it's not fair. Men are stronger.
It's not fair. And like pointing out that this isn't hate when World Rugby did it in 2020, when the Olympic Committee did it very recently. I can't believe it took that long. But like all these organizations are doing it because, it's insane to let men play against women. That's why we have different leagues. What used to be common sense is now hate speech, according to the Toronto police. So anyways, Ezra's still in the office. He's in the kitchen, which should surprise nobody at the office. Probably snacking through the kitchen. And he gets a phone call, or he calls the police. I forget how this went. Anyways, he's talking to the cops on his phone, and nobody does this better than Ezra. Let's watch. He's probably feeling hangry. They got him at a real bad time. He's in the kitchen.
This is Ezra Levant at his very, very best. Just watch.
Yeah.
Right here, everything we say is being recorded, sir. He's been directed to turn it off, and he's been directed to leave.
Okay, now why would he turn off an ad? Like, seriously, by what right does the Toronto police censor our billboard ad?
Censoring anything. It's illegal to display anything on a billboard, period. Doesn't matter who's coming.
Under what law? Under what law?
My law, and he's been given that ticket. I'm sure he's read me the charge already.
He hasn't actually. He just told me that a bunch of police were shutting down our ad, and I told them to put the ad back up because of the Charter of Rights, Section 2, freedom of expression.
Driveway here, people trying to get out of to go home from work, and then need to get in to park for the event tonight. So he can drive off, turn off his messaging, read you the ticket, and you can decide whether or not you still want to continue to display the messaging.
Insane.
Well, I decided right now because I live in a free country, Charter of Rights and all that. So I've already instructed him to put that back up and not to take it down, and that we're going to go to the court and have a charter challenge of like seriously, where the hell do you get off shutting down a peaceful political message? That is not your job. We've got a crime wave in Toronto. And you're trying to, and you're giving him tickets for that sign?
Any messaging whatsoever.
No, you know what? There are 1,000 billboards in Toronto. There's 20 billboard trucks, and the fact that you're picking on the Rebel News one is quite conspicuous. It's pretty clear. This is Myron Demkew's attempt. You know what?
I gotta move the truck away from the.
Okay, move the truck. Put on the fire the chief. Put on the billboard that says fire the chief. And let that one go.
Ezra just dug in over it.
Yeah.
Not only are we not going to turn it off, but we're going to say fire your chief.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's what. Could you imagine the police telling Ezra Levant billboards aren't allowed in Toronto? Are these people legally blind? Are they legally blind?
They're everywhere.
I have never seen such an advertising dense area in my life than I did Toronto. Okay. Yeah. The billboards and the advertising in Toronto is just off the hook. And yet Ezra made a great point. You're only telling Rebel News to shut off their advertising. Like, it's ridiculous. Right. It's ridiculous.
Right. Even if we buy it's a parking issue, which it's not, because if you look in the footage, there was a Sprinter parked right in front of the truck and it wasn't running. The lights weren't on. So even if it were a parking issue, which it most definitely isn't, why does he have to turn off the messaging? The reason we bought the billboard truck is because there are like 20 other companies, but sometimes they wouldn't take our messaging. So
Right.
we know that there are billboard trucks operating on the streets of Toronto. And we thought, okay, well, if they don't want to take the political risk, that's fine. We'll just buy one
He's in a
and do it
parking lane.
ourselves.
He's
in a parking lane and there's a
lane, you
sprinter in
guys.
front. There's a sprinter in front.
This is ridiculous. Like, this is
So-
arguably insane that this happened.
So they get Ezra when he's trying to have a snack attack by himself in the kitchen in the office, which
You're
is
not yourself when you're hungry, Ezra.
no, but his brain was firing on ketones, so he was at the top of his game. But that's not where Ezra stops, because he's been fighting for free speech since before most of us were born. And so he decides to go down there and get in the truck, okay? Because
does.
now you have this like mongoose of a man, Ezra Levant. He's fired right up. And he said, that's fine. I'm going to go down there. And in fact, he had suggested internally, maybe I'll drive the truck. But Mark's down there. And Ezra, the truck has been ticketed twice now, $1,230 worth of tickets.
Oh, my God.
And this is the remarks that the boss gave to Joe Warmington over at the Toronto Sun.
I just thought it was an emergency. I sent a picture of the front of the ticket to one of Toronto's leading criminal lawyers, Leora Shemesh. She's a very high-powered lawyer who takes very serious cases. I don't want to give away legal privilege, but she wrote back to me very bluntly that is an improper ticket, the improper law. I don't want to speak for her, I'll let her speak for herself, but it gave me great confidence, and we have retained her. So on the way down, she confirmed for me that the law, that this ticket is out of place, which is obvious. Trucks like this have existed in Toronto for many years. We're the first ever to be ticketed with this. It's obviously made up. She confirmed that she will be our lawyer in this, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's not a normal thing to say. You don't normally say, I'm looking forward to trial. No, I am. Because I think this police department needs a refresher in civil liberties. I think they have to be taught that every point of view is allowed on the streets, even if you're questioning transgenderism in sports, even if you're a trucker questioning COVID, not just pro-Hamas. The pro-Hamas people can do anything on the streets. Anything.
That's an excellent point.
Yes, he's right. And
Correct.
now, Toronto Police, let's rumble. You got Leora Shemesh on you now. And if you are a member of the Independent Press Gallery, Leora has given some training for us over there on your rights in a public place, especially when you're dealing with police. She's an expert on this. So anyway.
All the best to Toronto's police service for what's about to hit them. Like, this is arguably the most embarrassing thing. Look at the herd of them around the truck. Toronto has real problems, guys. Like, they have actual problems. And here these guys are just fixated on tone policing the women.
Right, exactly. It's tone policing because, again, I say, if it were a parking issue, they wouldn't tell you to turn off the sign. They just wouldn't. Now, simultaneous to this, our friend April Hutchinson, Team Canada powerlifter April Hutchinson, she led the first pro-Sophie Cunningham rally outside of the United States.
She had a pep rally for Sophie Cunningham. She had a 6-foot cardboard cutout of Sophie Cunningham. They had all of their flags and banners and signs to support Sophie Cunningham. And unlike in the USA, our friend April Hutchinson, they were X. Look at them. Look at them.
No, one of them says Canadian Beavers got the fever. And this beaver loves women's sports, you girls.
It's just the best. Just the best. Yeah, they're great ladies over there at Cause Bar. There's they had banners, they had cutouts. And they said that the support that they received was just overwhelming. They had a handful of people who were quite nasty to them, but they said the huge overarching majority was so happy that they were there, were taking pictures with their posters, were supportive and encouraging of them. There's our April Hutchinson.
There's April.
And unlike in the USA, She did not get kicked out for wearing that shirt. So she was able to go watch the game, participate, cheer, and they didn't kick her out. Pierre Poilievre's camp kicked her out not kicked her out. Let me take that back. Made her cover up her Keep Female Sports female sweater t-shirt when she met Pierre Poilievre to get a picture with him. So I think things are changing. Yeah, isn't it?
Changing. Lame. Yeah.
I think that they should be shamed for that now.
Yeah.
It was common sense then, and it is common sense now. And so good for these ladies. I just couldn't be prouder of them. This was one of the rare times that I wish that I was closer to Toronto so that I could have been there with them.
April has been through the ringer, remains incredibly positive, and continues to work to make sports a safe place again for women and girls. She was instrumental in the change in the Alberta legislation here. Yep. And she paid a huge personal cost for her stand against men powerlifting as women. Yeah. The problem remains, though, like she was suspended for, I think it was almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. And
during COVID, and she picked out powerlifting just for a quick backstory for everybody. Mm-hmm. April was an active addiction throughout her early teen years, all the way through her 40s. Okay. An active alcohol addiction. And she found powerlifting in COVID at about the same time. She had a situation that was life-threatening. Like either she was going to do something about the drinking or she was going to die at the end. And it was COVID, and she sort of adopts powerlifting as a healthy habit to just sort of consume her brain and her body while she's healing from addiction. And it turns out that she is an excellent powerlifter. Yeah. And so she just accelerates right up the Canadian women's powerlifting charts. She's doing stuff well. She makes a friend online because remember, it's COVID. So they're all training sort of together in online groups. And it turns out that a biological man, had tricked April into thinking that he was a woman. And when he was talking about the powerlifting that he was doing, the weights he was lifting, she was like, well, that's not, are you a man? And he said, well, yeah, I'm trans. And that's what started it all. She got kicked out of the Powerlifting Federation of Canada, for pointing out this biological reality. She got punished by the city that she lives in because she was she was invited to do a public art installation. Yeah. As in the city of London. Yes. And they took out her public art installation. She went through the absolute ringer on this issue. And I'm so happy that April Hutchinson is watching the public finally come around to admitting she was right all along. Yeah, of course she was.
And it should be said that the man who complained about April got her kicked out of her federation. Now, the International Federation did stand with her, but the Canadian Federation did not. That man still holds the powerlifting record in that weight class in Alberta for women. That has not been fixed yet.
Correct. The women's powerlifting record in Alberta is held by a man, as so many of them are across the country. But we're all too afraid to say, but you're a man.
Wait till I show you the cringe. I purposefully didn't put the cringe in the list until we were going because I didn't want you to see it. Yes. Okay. Just so we can see what CTV is saying about this. CTV takes it upon themselves to shout Sophie Cunningham's pro-women message down using a U of A Guelph sports management professor to say that trans men in sports beating on biological women is no big deal because there really aren't that many. Okay, since a lot of men don't want to tackle my daughter on the rugby field, I guess it's not that big of a deal if just one gives her a catastrophic injury. Good argument, guys. Let's hear it.
Canada's first ever WNBA team, the Toronto Tempo, is hosting the Indiana Fever tonight. But comments made by one of Fever's celebrity players is getting a lot of unwanted attention. CTV senior correspondent Heather Wright now with what's behind the off-court controversy. Hi, Heather.
Well, Sandy, one of the biggest games in Toronto Tempo history is taking place here tonight at Scotiabank Arena with the Indiana Fever in town and WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark playing her first game north of the border. Now, usually the Tempo play at Coca-Cola Coliseum, where there's a capacity of about 8,500 for basketball games. Tonight, they are playing here at Scotiabank with a sellout crowd expected of roughly 20,000 people. And that speaks in part to the popularity of Caitlin Clark, who is in the midst of another dominant season as the Fever look to lock up a playoff spot with a month still to go in the regular season. But despite all the excitement on the court, there has been a lot of focus on comments made by Fever guard Sophie Cunningham, who said biological men should not compete in girls' and women's sports.
Correct.
I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in a sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men.
Correct.
Now, these comments have sparked both praise and a lot of criticism. Here's what one sport management professor told us this afternoon.
There isn't a huge number of trans women just in general. Like, this is not a large population, and then there's not even less that are competing in sports. And so it is this, like, they are sort of fabricating, I think, this discourse to get people riled up around an issue that doesn't exist.
And many have said those comments are a distraction, undermining the growing popularity of women's professional sport. Now, the Tempo, they have their work cut out for them tonight against the Fever as they try to snap a 10-game losing streak.
No, I'm sorry, but screw those retarded liberal women. I'm sorry. Was that too much? Was that too harsh? But those liberal women are the exact reason why we got to this place. Because please platform the guy who says there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. You guys shouldn't be worried about it. It's nothing to see here. There was a 50-year-old guy participating as a preteen in swimming, guys, and yet there's nothing to see here.
We just talked about what happened to April Hutchinson.
You don't hate the CTV enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Two things about that piece. I am surprised to see Sandy Ronaldo is still alive. So I guess that's good news. But these men, I saw Dwayne Bratt do this the other day online. He's a professor here in Alberta of political science, saying basically, well, there's not a lot of men that want to beat up your daughters. So I guess it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
if one wants to beat up one woman or play against one woman and steal her sport, that's a big deal. That's like saying, well, there's not a lot of innocent people convicted. So why do we care about making sure that trials are fair?
Well, because I think that we are learning as a society just how disruptive one man who identifies as a woman has on the population of women that he's sort of impeding upon. You know what I mean? We are learning that it only takes one to disrupt, like upset the entire apple cart. So when they say there's not that many, what we should actually say back is even one is too many. Even one is too many. And that's not controversial to say either. It's not controversial to say either. I'm not taking advice from male sports coaches who tell me that it's not a concern when my own eyeballs tell me that it absolutely is.
Tell that to April, tell it to April.
Well, and every woman that's been displaced by a trans woman, whether it be in healthcare, whether it be in sports, whether it be in society, whether it be in the workplace, talk to those women and ask them if there's not that many of them.
It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
It's a monumentally huge deal to women voters, and it's becoming a more pressing one. So if you want to side on the side of the guys that would dismiss this outright, well, it's not that big a deal.
I imagine
we're seeing in Regina what happened. They said it's not that big a deal, and 30 naked seniors had to confront a man in their female change room. It's not that big a deal. Trust me, I heard from those ladies. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm loath to use the feminist term mansplaining, but this is just like the perfect example of it. This guy probably fancies himself to be a feminist ally, right? And
like Justin Trudeau style feminist.
Yeah, here he's saying to us women who don't want to have men walking around naked in our places and stealing opportunities from ourselves and our daughters, calm down. Don't worry your pretty little heads off about it.
You're having a hysterical uterus.
We got a hysterical uterus again.
But you know what? Again, shame on CTV for having
April
two
was
women
right there.
lead into that guy. Exactly.
April was right there. Why didn't you go get the counterbalance to this?
Shameful liberal CTV. Can't be defunded soon enough.
Now, the whole Sophie Cunningham comes to Toronto fiasco, as though it wasn't enough that CTV trots out this male feminist ally academic to tell us to calm down our twisted up ovaries, but and ticketing the truck for the messaging that was on it. But the Toronto Tempo themselves were absolutely insufferable about this. They unveiled 2 new mascots, and these mascots have pronouns. I'm so sick of this. The Toronto Tempo have unveiled 2 new mascots, Dot the Arctic Hare, she, her, and Des the Snapping Turtle, she, they. And the mascots were revealed during the halftime of the team's game against the Indiana Fever, just to be insufferable, spiteful losers.
I mean, just when you think the world has reached peak woke, absolutely peak woke, along comes a bright idea like this, just to be like, no, it still exists. It's still absolutely pervasive. We all know, you know, those of us with common sense know that a pronoun in a bio means that you should disregard the thing that that person thinks or says. Okay, these are people with garbage ideas that promote them just freely to things. You think how many stuffed mascots you think they're going to send because they have the correct pronouns? Sheila Gunn Reid, and like what an insult to what an insult to Sophie Cunningham. It's so unsportsmanlike. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
But this is a reason why, this is the reason why the majority of the public won't support women's sports. You think that being woke is gonna pull in the viewers and the supporters? No, it's Sophie Cunningham.
Down at Fenway Park, they have Wally the Green Monster, and he's fun, I think, engaging with the kids. He's out there dancing. Everybody knows Wally the Green Monster at Fenway Park. And we've got these like new age woke mascots to confuse the kids. Just
no, thank you. No, thank you. Grotesque.
Yes. Okay. Do we have any chats? No. Okay, no, that's okay. I want to go, we'll skip over the Polyev stuff. We'll go to the cringe. This one, we're going to talk about the obvious here. It is that Instagram post that I put there from the Fort McMurray Golf Club.
What? Oh.
It's not happening, Mr. Professor. It's not happening?
That is the ladies club champion there on the right?
Yes. Rachel Essler sits on the board of Wood Buffalo Pride also, and one of Fort McMurray's top 50 under 50, where they talk about their scariest experience, which was socially transitioning at work. And that person, who is bigger than the 2 men there, is the ladies club champion at the Fort McMurray Golf Club. So I did some digging into this.
Oh my God.
And while there's a law preventing this in Alberta, that is for provincially sanctioned sports, which have governing bodies like Rugby Alberta, Hockey Alberta, Ring It Alberta. You get the drift. Plus schools and post-secondary educations. This club championship is not governed by Golf Alberta. So the club can set its own rules, but the club is revealing itself here, because if you have a men's championship, and if you have a ladies championship, and if you have a juniors championship, that indicates that there are different skill levels at all of those things. Why? Biology. right?
Well,
did the ladies in the ladies championship know that they would be playing against men, or at least one man?
Oh, they don't divulge that to the other people playing. They absolutely would never divulge that. And actually, golf would be a great game where a man who identifies as a woman will be able to play the entire game with very few other spectators, like knowing that he's competing for the ladies championship. This is an affront to your women members, Fort Mac Golf, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You know what? Those two guys standing with him, I hope you enjoy your little trophies. I hope this lives for infamy.
This sort of stuff, why
would you pose with that? Why would you pose with that?
And my problem with this is, actually, it lies with the provincial government at this point, because the fact that this is not like a provincially governed sport body involved in this doesn't change the spirit of the law that says that you are trying to protect fairness for all women and girls, all of them, even if they're playing at a club level. Right. My problem is there's a big loophole here, and a trans-identified man just stepped right through it. That's how big it is.
Yep, that's exactly what happened there. Thanks for putting that on our radar, Sheila Gunn Reid. No, it would be very, very easy to look at his golf stats and see where he would land on the men's list. And I
didn't get that far. I just did a little story about it this morning, but I didn't get that far.
Well, did he hit from the ladies? Did he hit from the ladies box? Like, did he? Like that big brutish Neanderthal of a man? Did he hit from the ladies box?
The ladies box. I didn't even think about that.
Oh no, that would be a definite advantage for him. Like, look at him, absolutely huge man. Like, this is wild, you guys. Yeah. Like, how embarrassing. How absolutely
Fort McMurray of all places. And so I guess my point is, there will always be mediocre men trying to sneak their way into female sports. And I realize the provincial government has done something about it, but there is a loophole here that that people who want to cheat are just stepping right through.
Well, but this is where the organizations themselves have to have some integrity, just a little bit of integrity, because Fort Mac Golf certainly would have known.
Oh, for sure.
Would have known. And they could have intervened at the very beginning and said, "Sir."
Can I tell you why Fort Mac Golf knows? Because there's a Pride Golf event in the area where Rachel Essler is involved. So well known, I think, in the golf community up there. So they absolutely did know.
That's embarrassing. Stop being gay, Fort Mac Golf. Doesn't look good on you.
You know, like, even if you're not required to comply with the provincial law, aren't you even interested in sportsmanship and fairness? Like, aren't you interested in that at all?
Well, don't you want the women and girls that belong to your club to feel safe and welcome?
I would never drive another ball there.
Never in a million years. No, that would be the last membership they'd get from me. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad.
All right.
Why didn't the men stand up in that moment and just be like, you know what, we're gonna stick up for our female co-competitors. This isn't right, and it's not right.
No. All right. I think that's the show for today. If people want to help out with our legal battle against the Toronto police with regard to the truck, it's savethetruck.ca. Is that it?
Big, beautiful billboard truck. You want to
savethetruck.com.
Keep them rolling. Keep Mark on the road.
Mark. Poor Mark. And he just keeps fighting. I love how we name key him truck driver / patriot.
Yes. That is
the videos where Mark appears.
That's actually
really
a perfect.
Is.
Yeah, that's a perfect that's a perfect way to describe him. He's a gem. He is an absolute gem of a man.
It keeps us cool all the time. And
lovely. He is
unafraid.
So lovely. Yeah.
Anyways, savethetruck.com. We're gonna have legal bills, and obviously their tickets, fighting with the Toronto police for free speech and for the right to tell the truth on the streets of Toronto. Apparently, that is a ticket-worthy offense, according to Myron Demkew's TPS. I think that's it. Let's wrap the show. Lise, I'll see you next Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I'm away next Tuesday, so I'll see you on Wednesday. And thanks so much for another great week, Sheila Gunn Reid and Rebel Fam. It's been fun.
Yes. Thanks for doing 3 days this week. Special thanks to Cory Morgan from the Western Standard for jumping on the Buffalo panel today. Olivia, Efron, everybody who works behind the scenes here at Rebel News to help us get the show to you however you want to watch it. Those of you who engage with our content, it really does help us out. We're rapidly approaching 2 million YouTube subscribers. And as we say on the show here, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.